great for rising. You know, now in this particular clip, let me say this, in this particular clip, there are so many things to unpack in here. So I'm going to do more than one video on this, but I'm going to start out talking about rights. This man had on a Nazi uniform, the Gestapo uniform. Now, somebody took offense, a woman, and she tried to rip his sticker off, according to her, by her own admission. She was the aggressor. But the man was arrested. Now, so in this particular video, we're going to talk about, first of all, did he have a right to have on that Nazi sticker? Or with the whole uniform? Did she have a right to try to stop him from going into the bar? Did she have a right to put her hand on him? Did she have the right to try to take off his sticker? And we're going to talk about the fact that she was a woman, because in the video, there was a comment made about him being a coward because he put his hand on a woman. Well, put a beer ball against a woman's nose. But does you being a woman give you the right to impede on somebody without consequences? I'm trying to create a dialogue here. So we're going to unpack several things. I'm going to come back with a part 2 where I'm going to address domestic violence right up front. If a woman put her hand on a man, does that man have a right to floor? Does he have a right to knock her to the floor? Okay, listen to this, and I'll be back.
A man dressed up as a Nazi and assaults a woman at a Georgia bar. Here it is.
Touch him. Don't touch him. He's in my, are you in my accounting class? Yeah! What up, bro? What's good, bro? How are you? Look at this guy. This is terrible. What the I don't know what you want. Is this serious? No, I have no idea. We're seeing. No.
This is from Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Now it says, man dressed as Nazi breaks woman's nose with beer mug. Man dressed as Nazi breaks woman's nose with beer mug. Does the attire matter? Or was that just put in for effect? I'll talk about that later. But I do want to say this. Now he hit her with a beer mug. But you know what? Once you do something to somebody, you don't control, or you can't control, how they respond to you. I know this boy, he was always going to just poking on people. He poked on this one student brought him to. You know what he said? I just barely touched him. But, you see, something we may want to consider or ask ourselves before we put our hand on anybody. We might want to ask ourselves, okay, do I get the right to control what they do to me in response? If I put my hands on somebody, do I control how they respond to me putting my hand on them?
All right, here's the background. Put it up full mass. Damn shame. Kenneth Leland Morgan, 32 years old, in Georgia, was arrested early Friday morning after violent confrontation outside a bar. An event that began with him dressed up as a Nazi. The altercation left a University of Georgia student with a broken nose, cuts to her face, and a black eye.
You see, it says he was arrested after he was confronted. It says that they showed video. It didn't show it in this video, but it said video on the internet shows that he was being arrested, after a confrontation. But listen to this. After they confronted him, Now, based on this video I saw, they didn't just say, well, you shouldn't wear that. Why are you wearing that? Or even just yelling at him, cussing him out, calling him whatever they wanted to call him. They actually put their hands on this man. When do we have a right to defend ourselves? What gives me the right, because I don't agree with something, for me to attack you? All right, listen to some more, and I'll be back.
Athens Clarke County Jail records identify the man as 32-year-old Kenneth Leland Morgan, a nearby resident. He was booked at about 2:56 a.m. Friday on charges of simple battery and aggravated assault. As of Saturday afternoon, he remained in jail without bond. Classic City News reported that Morgan was dressed as a member of the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police. The University of Georgia said the assault happened off campus but involved one of its students. In a statement, the university said officials were, quote, horrified and thanked Athens Clarke County Police for arresting the suspect. Quote, the man is not a student and is not affiliated with the university. His actions, which were caught on videotape, are appalling. And we are grateful to the Athens Clarke County police officers for swiftly apprehending and arresting him, the statement said.
Kenneth Leland Morgan is being held in the Clarke County Jail, Athens Clarke County Jail, without bond. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the law, but I think from what I do know, if you're being held without bond, that means you're violent, you're high risk, or something like that. I don't know why they're holding him without bond, but what I do want to say is this. Here again, I don't see nowhere where those aggressors are being held without anything. They were pushing on him, hitting on him. But I don't see anywhere where they're being held. And they say the University of Georgia said that officials said that they were appalled. The officials said they were appalled at the man for hitting the woman in the face with the beer mug. But now I didn't hear them say anything about them being appalled about her actions. So should they have been? Should we stop allowing our personal views to rule and govern us? Is that acting out of emotion? She didn't like the fact he was wearing the uniform, so she attacked him. Now, he responded by hitting her in the face with a mug. Should both acts be equally appalling? Evidently, they had a problem with the Nazi uniform from the way they reacted. They confronted him. Okay, fine. You didn't like the uniform? From what I saw in the video about Leland, he wasn't being violent toward anybody. He wasn't doing anything. So why do you feel like you have a right to confront this man about his uniform? Because you don't like his uniform. Okay, now, listen to some more from Dr. Richard, and I'll be back.
The victim, UGA student Grace Long, told the Red and Black she was at Cutter's Pub with a Jewish friend who noticed the man dressed in a Nazi uniform and confronted him. When the man tried to enter the bar, Lang says she stepped between them and attempted to remove the armband to remove a hate symbol. She said the man responded by swinging a large beer mug directly into her face. Lang told the student newspaper she suffered a broken nose and needed 4 stitches at the ER. Quote, I was at Cutter's Pub with a Jewish friend when the man in a Nazi uniform tried to enter the bar, she said, explaining why she intervened in the confrontation. I tried to rip off his swastika armband. Social media footage, some later removed by moderators, shows multiple people shouting at the man before the sudden strike that knocked Lang back and stunned the crowd. Photos shared online show what appears to be the same man being handcuffed near the West Washington Street park deck shortly afterward. Let's put it up. It was not yet clear whether investigators are exploring hate crime enhancements or additional charges related to the Nazi symbols. Atlanta Black Star reports answers are expected when police release a full incident report and Morgan's next court appearance is set. I will say this. A hate crime statute should be applied because it doesn't necessarily require that you yell a racial slur. You exhibited one. You exhibited the racism by your attire. So let's be very clear about the statute and the statutory qualification.
Okay, let me read this to you now. Dr. Ritchie said this, but I'm going to read it again, and then I'm going to comment on it because I think this bears honing in on. It says the victim. Now notice Grace Lang is portraying her, well, she's being portrayed as the victim. The victim, UGA student Grace Lang, told the Red and Black she was at Cutter's Pub with a Jewish friend who noticed a man dressed in a Nazi uniform and confronted him. She confronted the man because he had on a Nazi uniform. Okay, and it says when the man tried to enter the bar, Lang says she stepped between them and attempted to remove the armband, a hate symbol, that's what she called it. It's in quotation marks, so I'm assuming that's what she said. She said the man responded by swinging a large beer mug directly into her face. Did you hear that? She stepped between the man and her Jewish friend, and she put her hand, well, tried to put her hand on this man's person, his personal space, because she wanted to rip off the swastika. But anyway, she wanted to rip it off because she saw it as hate. Okay, now, what do you think about that? Did she have that right? Because she didn't agree with what he had on or what he was wearing. Did she have a right to violate that man's space and attempt to violate him? Now, it says here, I'm reading again from what Dr. Rich has posted. Lang told the student newspaper she suffered a broken nose and needed 4 stitches at the emergency room. I was at Cutter's Pub, with a Jewish friend when the man in the Nazi uniform tried to enter the bar. He was trying to go into the bar. She said, explaining why she intervened in the confrontation. I tried to rip off his swastika. She tried to rip that off because the man was trying to get into the pub. He had on a Nazi uniform. She wanted to take the swastika off. And the man hit her in the nose with a beer mug. Okay? Now, that was actually more video footage evidently because you see where it says here? It says that footage shows, and it says some later removed by moderators. The people who put it up, I guess, took it down. But it says social media footage, some later removed by moderators, shows multiple people shouting at the man before the sudden strike that knocked Lang back and stunned the crowd. Photos shared online shows what appears to be the same man being handcuffed near the West Washington Street parking deck shortly afterwards. Now, I wonder why they removed those photos of the footage of the man being shouted at and stuff. Now, what I saw in that footage, the man was actually being shoved. So why do you think that was removed? You think that maybe give you a different view if you've seen the footage? I'm trying to create a dialogue here. We got to create dialogues here. Kenneth Leland Morgan may actually be charged with a hate crime. It seems like there's that possibility. And Dr. Richard told us what would constitute a hate crime. You know, and evident implication maybe. Here again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. But based on what I'm hearing, that's what I'm basing my comments on. Let's talk. Get at me. Let's create a dialogue.
All right, Senator, thoughts here.
And he wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
And Halloween costume, is that what, I mean, you some kind of sick individual, if you want to wear this for a Halloween costume or KKK, you know, any of them kind of things, people know exactly what they are doing. So he got the type of reaction that he wanted to get. On top of that, he's an absolute coward to put his hands, and not just his hands, but use an instrument to strike
That's right, a weapon.
This woman. He's a coward, and he too will have his day in court.
According to the senator, the man is a coward. She says he's a coward for putting his hands, but then she said not just putting his hands on the woman, but hitting the woman with a weapon, a beer bottle. But let me ask you this. Do you think he's a coward, or was he justified? This woman came up to him. Now, she was definitely the aggressor, even by her own admission. She came up to him. She was putting her hands on, well, trying to put her hand on this person. Did he have a right to defend himself by clocking her with that beer bottle? Or should he have done something just like shove her away? What do you think he should have done? When do you have the right to decide how you're going to defend yourself? You know, for instance, if I came up to you and I just poked you in your belly, and then you took your fist and went upside my head, do I get the right to say I'm a victim? Do I get the right to choose how you respond to my aggression? Do I have that right? Or do you have the right to defend yourself by any means necessary, according to how you feel? You know, because if I'm bold enough to walk up to you and try to rip part of your tie off, does that give you reasonable cause to think that I'm crazy? Does that, see, because you don't know what I'm thinking. If somebody comes up to you and start trying to rip part of your clothes off, you don't know where that person is going to go next. If I allow you to take rip part of my clothes off, what's next? Are you going to try to rip part of my face off? Let's create a dialogue. You see, so many times we just say things, one side say this, one side say that. What if we could come together and create a dialogue? So those are my questions. Number one, did she have a right to try to take that man's swastika off because she didn't like the fact that he had it on? Did she have the right to try to stop him from going into that bar? Did she have the right to plant herself between him and her Jewish friend? Did she have that right? Okay? Then let's just say she had the right. I got the right to lay out in the middle of the road during rush hour. But there are consequences that come with me laying in the middle of the road during rush hour. And I think that's one thing we need to talk about. Let's create a dialogue. What rights do you have? And what rights do I have to respond to the rights that you have? Right? Yeah, I like that. What rights do you have? And what rights do I have to respond to the rights that you have? There's some people who are highly offended. They don't feel like a man has the right to wear women attire. So based on this logic, does that man have the right to go up to that man and rip part of his dress off or whatever he has on that he feels like he shouldn't wear because it offends him that a man dresses as a woman? How do we protect the rights of everybody? Or can everybody's rights be protected? Who decides what's right? And I'm going to do another video on rights. But right now, I want to create a dialogue. Talk back to me. Talk back to me. Okay? And listen, I'm just trying to create a dialogue. And I want to say this, ma'am, Miss Lane, I think that's your name. No disrespect intended. I think I saw that your name was Lane when I looked at the clip. You walked up to this man and you tried to violate his person. Why did you do it? I want you to be encouraged. I'm just trying to create a dialogue. And you remember this. If they close my book, you remember my story. Lily Bear. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Support our youth in any way you can. Keep on churning till the butter comes. Albert C. Richardson, a black man, patent the butter churn U.S. patent number 446470, February 17th, 1891. I'm Lily Bear. I'm just trying to create a dialogue. I leave you with this. If they close my book, you remember my story. A Nat Turner Runner production. Lock and load. Lily Bear. Be encouraged.